Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar for today. So glad to see there are many of you already here and saying hello in the chat. It is great to be with you all. So welcome to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and our Health Coaching in 2026 series. My name is Lindsay Goldberg, and I am the program director here at IIN. And I'm thrilled to be guiding today's conversation with a very special guest, Rebecca Ruchman, and our amazing community. So, for those of you who haven't already, please say hello in the chat. I invite you to let us know where you're joining from and what you are excited to learn about today. So, we're going to be covering a great topic, a very important topic that is really a big buzz right now of AI in coaching and business. So, we're going to have a lot of great discussion here from an expert. And so I see we have many folks here from all over. We have Lita here from Little Rock, Arkansas. Cheryl here is from Pennsylvania. We have Helena from Boston, Massachusetts. Laura from Texas. Here from India. And we have Musab from South Korea, Christina from Charlotte. We have Gabrielle from Monaco. Juma from Nigeria, and I hope I'm saying everyone's name correctly. If not, I apologize. And we have Samira here from Ottawa, Canada. So many folks from all around the world. Zuli is here from Zanzibar. Grady's here from Alabama. Melanie's here, current student. Hi, Melanie. Monica's here from London. Helena's also here as a student. I love on these calls, we get a great mix of folks who are current students, who are alumni, who are folks who are thinking about becoming a health coach new to our community. So wherever you are in that journey, great to have you here. I see we have Maureen from the Netherlands. We have Marcella from Mexico. Truly a representation of our global community. We have, on that note, over 180,000 graduates from over 180 countries worldwide. So IIN truly is a global community. When you come to learn with us, you're not just taking a course or signing up for a program. You truly are joining a network of global change makers. And as a graduate of the Health Coach Training Program myself, I came to IIN as a student back in 2014. I can say this community is truly incredible. So it is so great to have you all here today. Keep that chat coming. I see we have folks still coming in all the way from Connecticut to Portugal and everywhere in between. So some of you may just be joining the series for the first time. Others may have been following along all month. We've been gathering every Wednesday in community here. So if you missed the last few webinars in this series, I'll be happy to catch you up quickly. So here at IIN, we have just announced the addition of several new cutting edge topics to our health coach training program. And these are all topics that were added intentionally because they reflect the real client conversations that are happening now. We selected them based on where the industry is headed and what we're seeing and hearing from our coaches in the field. So we really took a look at what are the things that are coming up that we're already hearing from our coaches in sessions? What are those things that clients are, Googling? What's keeping them up at night? What are people interested in? And making sure that our coaches are equipped to support in these areas, whether it's an area of specialization or just, something to have in your toolkit to be aware of. So the new topics are oral health and whole body health, perimenopause and menopause, cardiovascular disease, and specifically cardiovascular disease within the context of menopause, a holistic and compassionate approach to GLP-1s and GLP-1 therapy, and today's topic that we're going to be diving into, AI in coaching and business. So the field of health coaching is evolving faster than ever. And we are committed here at IIN to helping our students navigate the rapidly changing landscape of wellness through our curriculum and our webinars such as this one. So today we will be diving into how AI is changing the coaching landscape and what that means for your role as a coach. And joining us today will be our new visiting faculty AI in coaching pioneer, Rebecca Ruchman. And Rebecca is a leading voice at the intersection of human intelligence and AI in the field of coaching. As the co-founder of Viva La Coaching Academy, she has moved beyond simple tool training to champion AI fluency, teaching coaches and leaders how to think with machines, not just through them. So a truly integrated approach. And as a recognized speaker and researcher, Rebecca partners with global organizations to design conversational AI experiences that prioritize ethical grounding, transparency, and the irreplaceable power of human presence. So, Rebecca, welcome. So great to have you on today joining us. Hello, hello.
Hello. I just thought I'd pop in for the human presence. Yeah.
So you said your actual self here today. Beautiful.
Yeah, you can try. I don't know. Maybe I'm an avatar. Yeah.
Oh no, the world will never know. We are so glad to have Rebecca here live and in the flesh to talk about all things AI and coaching. So I know we have a lot of questions. Our audience has questions. So let's hop right in. And for those who are listening along, if there's anything specifically you are wondering on this topic, we would love to hear from you. So for those tuning in, please drop any questions that you have for Rebecca in the chat, and we'll pull from those as well. So, Rebecca, to kick us off, can you share a little bit about your story and what led you to become a pioneer in the AI and coaching space?
It's a very good question. I have a probably quite interesting story. I come from more of an IT and business background, and then I did a coach training long time ago, 2007, and worked in IT with a lot of IT teams. And as you can imagine, coaching is a big topic, but not very well known back in those days. And at some point, we realized we need more access to people, to our teams, to people in the IT industry as well. And of course, their affinity for technology is maybe a bit higher. So we developed the first coaching chatbots back in 2018, 19. And then I ended up in an accelerator program at the Cyber Lab here. And all of a
Yes,
sudden, I had a startup. Yeah. And so that was very interesting times.
yes.
And that was pre generative
I
AI. So before ChatGPT arrived. I think there's someone who has their mics open. Um, but yeah, that's how it all got started. And since then, I've been working in that field, working a lot with AI in coaching, developing AI coaching chatbots early in the days and continuously, mainly for research now. And I started an AI literacy company, Viva La Coaching, about 1.5 years ago, because we know that we need to bring more literacy into the market and support people with all the knowledge that we acquired to actually, yeah, enter this new era that we're all facing now with AI.
Amazing, truly a pioneer in this area and so important, I think, because AI, I know folks have different opinions on it, different feelings around it. And the truth is, whether, we like it or not, or whether we're comfortable with it or not, or what we think, it is here and it is here to stay. And it is making its way into every profession, every aspect of our day-to-day life. And so it's important. Something I love that we'll talk about today is that you really talk about transparency and ethical use and all these considerations that really help build AI literacy. And so that's something that we are really focusing on in your new lecture, which we recorded recently, which was so wonderful. I'm so excited for our students to discover. But, something here that in a profession like health coaching, which is built on presence and connection as the core fundamentals of this field. Something that really comes up in a lot of these questions is what role should AI play, right? Like where is this something that we can lean into and also what role shouldn't it play?
And that's something I think we need to all discover for ourselves because I think we all have different boundaries and limitations and comfort levels on using technology and also our clients yeah have different levels of comfort as well on playing with AI. I think that plays a huge role. I mean, there are for me like some non-negotiables. Yeah, it's like using like confidential client data in AI systems, having to be aware of that as well. And I think what we always have to do is create, let's say, a space of trust, even in that digital and AI age with the clients. And that's always about transparency, no? And about partnering with the client and agreeing on what to use and how to use it. And I think that's one of the main things, yeah, when we navigate this space.
Yeah, that's a great point. So something that you talk about in your lecture, which I love because I was something that I'd never thought of in this context. You talk about radical acceptance when it comes to AI. Can you share a little bit about what you mean by that?
I mean, I came across the expression of radical acceptance because I have one child on the autism spectrum. And in that community, we talk about that quite a lot, that there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, like, if they have the day where everything, they're just overwhelmed, just whatever we want for them is not going to work. Yeah. So, and it's the same with when we have, like uncertainties with AI or technology, or we can't just say, oh, I'm going to ignore this. We just have to accept that it's there. Like you said before, it's not going to go away. The question is just, what are we going to do with this now? Yeah. And how are we going to navigate that for us? And what strategies are we going to apply for ourselves? And they will be different for everyone here in the room.
That's a great point. I love, something at IIN, one of our core philosophies that our founder, Joshua Rosenthal, coined is bioindividuality, which is the idea that what works for one person may not necessarily work for the next. That, really looking at everyone is different and has unique needs. And it's interesting to think how that could apply here to AI as well, that there's not one cookie cutter way to use it, and that it may be different for different individuals. So that I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So looking here, and I'm noting a few great questions from the audience. One that I saw come up a couple of different ways is kind of about accuracy. So one listener said I was using AI for content about health and nutrition, but a lot of time the information provides is not correct. So then I have to go and look up and at the actual sources. I don't want to spread in misinformation. So the question is, do you think it's going to change soon? But also, I think that brings up just a general comment I've seen a few places here so far about, that concern about accuracy.
Yeah, and a good point about this, it's yeah, you already have skills. Yeah, you applied your critical thinking. Yeah, so something that we all need to develop even further now that we deal with AI. But it's also a human thing, no? Like not everything we say is accurate. Yeah, because we don't always, even if we read many books, we don't always remember everything, right? So it's also something that we have to deal with in the human world. But with AI, it's particularly disappointing because we were hoping that we will get accurate information because it's an AI system. So it's all about our own expectations, yeah, from that technology. But the models are getting better. And it really depends on which tools you're using. Some of them are more deterministic. That means you can rely more on their sources, like Perplexity, for example. It's made for that, or even like the new Claude Cowork or other things that are, like the focus is on a more deterministic output. While when you want creativity and when you want it as a great writer and come up with great things, you don't want to have deterministic answers. You want to have more creative answers. Yeah, so you can tune them in different ways as well. And that's also something you need to consider when choosing the right tool.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT is not always the best option if you want accurate information.
Yeah. I know there was a question here about what are good tools for health coaches to use. And I know that also changes sometimes by the day, that there's so many advancements, but for folks who are getting started, where's a good place for them in this field?
I mean, when you were searching for accuracy, I always use Perplexity as kind of like my search engine instead of Google. But became a big fan the last few weeks also of Claude Cowork, which plugs into your computer system. Let's say you have to download it on your computer and it works on local files as well. It's a lot more deterministic and it keeps more to the instructions. And it really depends on the use case, no? Like, if do you want it for creativity or do you want it for search and look for good nutrition plans and things like that? Then you might want to go to tools that are more deterministic.
So many different tools for different functions, and you mentioned creativity, and so that's one thing that has come up, and I see in conversations when it's like that that fear of, that over reliance of just using prompting to come up with content or to, as a replace for human creativity. So, where do you see opportunity for AI to enhance creativity rather than dulling it, especially for coaches or entrepreneurs?
I personally use it a lot for challenging my thinking or things that I've come up with. I find that when you use it to really produce stuff for you, you have to then edit it afterwards. And sometimes you have to edit more than you want. But I like to, and that's also something that develops our critical thinking and our creativity is first think for yourself. Yeah, and what you want to achieve. And you have to put a lot of effort into writing a good prompt, a good instruction first. It's a little bit like having your intern, yeah, your first intern coming in. The better you brief that person coming in on what you're expecting from them, what you want them to do, and what your best hopes for the outcome are, yeah, to stay in coaching language, the better the results will be. And it's the same. Yeah, if we just prompt in there, kind of like, give me a nutrition plan for my client for the next 6 weeks, the output will be less sophisticated than if I give some background information on the client and what we're really looking at. And, like the more context we have also as human beings, the better we can actually function and the better we can create output. And it's the same with AI systems.
I love that. The context is so key. And I think for our coaches out there, it's interesting to even think about when you're working with a client for the first time, when you're doing a discovery session, right? You would give them, they would do a health history intake with you, and you'd be learning about what are their, what's going on in the different areas of their life and why are, what are they trying to accomplish? So it's almost thinking about similarly there, having more context to really refine what you're trying to do, right? Because as a coach, you're really narrowing in on what is the goal with your client. So much room for creativity here. Another thing that comes up that I love that we're talking about in the health coach training program and let's talk about for a bit here is ethics when it comes to AI. So in your experience, what are the biggest ethical blind spots that you see coaches making when they start using AI? Perhaps not intentionally, but just, as a new technology.
I mean, the blind spot for me is like that you really always have to consider is what's happening with the data that you're providing. Um, because it's boring to read these terms and conditions, no, and the data policies and where everything goes and all that. But you can use AI for that, for example, as well. Um, and it's also that some still believe it's going to go away, which it won't. That's for me also a blind spot in some ways. Just like thinking, what else? I think it's mainly not knowing what's happening in the background. Like I know some people like to now upload client information or try to anonymize, yeah, client information through AI. And that's a blind spot because AI can't do it because once it is in the AI system, you can't really get it out easily anymore.
Right. That's a good point. I see that kind of touches on something Anne said here. Anne said, what are the cautions around how much client information can be in an AI prompt for additional context, even if identifying information is not shared? So yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, never any personal information. Yeah, you can give an age range. Yeah, a client between 50 and 55 or something like that. But yeah, I would keep it as clean as possible.
Right. Right. Almost thinking like a case study. A client presents in their 40s with this thing. So that's helpful for those of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just skimming here, so many good questions coming in. I love how engaged everyone is. Keep it coming. Let's see, some agreement here on understanding more about security policies and compliance. Yeah, it's kind of like for our coaches that become board certified and understanding a code of ethics, right? Understanding your scope of practice. This is an area here where AI literacy is so key to really be knowledgeable with the tools you use, right? You're not just going out there to be a health coach without training, you're getting the proper training to learn how to treat, if how to approach people ethically and in the best ways to not harm them, to help them. And so approaching that as well. So another thing that I've heard you speak about, which I love, is you talk about bridging the Gen AI divide. So what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is the faster this technology evolves, the bigger this gap is becoming because we as humans, we live beyond human scale. Yeah. So we can't keep up. Yeah. And because we already, or most in our industry, are already quite behind when it comes to adopting to this technology, and the technology is evolving so rapidly, that's where I say that there's this gen divide knowledge gap appearing, and that's going to be very hard to bridge.
For sure. It's a great point. So how can coaches ensure transparency with their clients when they are using AI to support their work?
I mean, it's first about talking about you with your clients about it, even using a tool like this here, Zoom. Yeah. So it has an AI assistant in there. When you record, it's going to generate transcripts, word by word transcripts. These are just things that you need to talk to your client about and ideally have it as part of your coaching contract. Yeah. I think these are the core essentials. And before you use a tool with a client, use it with yourself, with some of your friends, or people that you trust and you want to explore this with, just to learn about it first and experience it. Yeah, try the medicine always on yourself first and then see what it does.
Yes, that's a great point. It's like in our health coach training program, we always try to have you be your own first client. So you're really getting comfortable with different tools, approaches, perspectives in your own life. So I love that
Exactly.
you extend that here. That's fantastic. So another thing that has come up, I've seen questions, this came up on our first webinar we did where we were introducing this topic, is just that idea around, the environmental implications of AI usage. So what would you say to those who have those concerns?
I think they're valid, and I think we have to tread lightly, yeah, in this area. Like I said, explore it with yourself, maybe for your business first, before you use AI in the room with your clients. Yeah, maybe use it for yourself or your business, and see what the limitations are. And then for me, it's all a partnering topic in the end, yeah, with your client as well. And of course, you have to keep to the laws of where you are located and where your client is, and that's what a lot of people forget. So if your client, for example, is in Europe or in Asia, you also have to comply with the local laws of where the client is located. And that's, I know, a hard thing to navigate sometimes. But AI can also help with that.
Yeah. And I like how you said again, using to your level of comfort or the level of relevance in your practice. I know I saw a comment go by about, I'm kind of afraid to use this with my clients. And it's not, it's an option, not a necessity. There's different ways
Yes.
that AI can be integrated, right? But you don't have to use it in a session.
Yeah, like you don't have to use it in the session. You just have to inform yourselves because your clients will come in with these uncertainties and insecurities as well. Yeah, with their own fears around AI. Yeah, that is now entering everywhere in society. And I think being informed is the first step. Then you can make an informed decision on where it makes the most sense in your practice with the type of clients that you have to really use AI responsibly.
Yes, definitely. And some clients may be, in different places with it, and some are already using AI to inform their health and wellness journeys. There's so many apps
Yes.
and wearables and different things these days that might, or just places that they are going for their information. So having AI literacy as a coaching skill, it's almost like becoming a new competency, being able to make sure that they are doing the safe research and that they are using it correctly for themselves if they so choose.
What I also love to always think about is it's a very old rule from data science is if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And the product is usually your data. Yeah. So if you use free versions of AI tools, you can certainly assume that they will be using your data for training purposes. Yeah. And in most of the paid versions, you can opt out of your data being used for training purposes.
That's great. Looking how to opt out and right, always keeping client information, identifying information out of anything that you enter. So I'm seeing a few questions shifting a little bit from the coaching side to the business side because I've seen quite
Yes.
a few questions come up of, okay, how can I use AI to help me grow and scale my business? So any tips there that can help health coaches get started?
Yeah, like my first use case is always I support people in like building their own ghostwriter, for example, because we need a lot of writing usually, like for our social media posts, for some of the workshops with our clients, for asking powerful questions, for articles that you want to write. So this is, I think, one of the best use cases, even for myself. I even have different ghostwriters depending on if I want a thinking partner for a new article or something that helps me just like write social media posts, for example, or like new coaching programs or training programs or things like that. I think that's for me always a top one. And then I have a thinking partner. Yeah, so I created my own thinking partner that has some of my background information and things that are important to me and that can challenge me on my own thinking.
That's great. It's like you're creating your own virtual team there with you, or a virtual assistant. I remember back in the curriculum years ago, before we had so much technology, we would talk about hiring an actual virtual assistant to respond to your emails and to help you draft posts. And now, and it wasn't that you were being disingenuous with your work, it was you were outsourcing so you could focus on your coaching time and your time with your clients. And now here we can bring in our own assistants here through AI, which is really cool, and shape them to be exactly to write in your style, to align with your brand and your tone. So a lot of
Or also
opportunities there.
reflect for yourself, maybe before the session or after a session, because sometimes we also have a bad day, but we want to arrive fresh, when we talk to our clients. So sometimes having these 10 minutes before a client session or even then after a client session to debrief. Sometimes we need to download as well. Yeah. So, and that's also always a good possibility to start using AI and experimenting with it without yet involving the client. And I saw there was a question in there also if, like if we also will have a business if we don't use AI. And I think there's always like two sides of that as well, that the connection between the human coach and the human client will always stay important as well, like that relationship. Yeah. But the clients will use more and more AI. So you need to learn how it works. So they will come in with maybe some results they have from AI. And then it's always good as the coach in the picture to be able to critically think over that with them and then take that on further in the coaching session.
I love that. So many good questions. I have so many questions. This is why we put this into the curriculum because there are so many questions around AI as an emerging technology, as it could fit into coaching, into business, into your practice in the ways you want or not. So I'm so glad that we've added this in and that you are one of our newest visiting faculty members joining the ranks of the Health Coach Training Program to cover this critical topic. So, before we wrap up, I would love to ask, where can folks stay connected to you and your work?
I mean, the easiest is to find me on LinkedIn. I also write a LinkedIn newsletter on there where I share a lot of my thinking and things that I come across. And I post as well, not always regularly, but I always write regularly on LinkedIn. And you can connect with me there or pop me a message if there's anything else. But I can also suggest, Lindsay, that you can send me the questions and I can take maybe 20 minutes and answer some of them because there's so many in the chat and I know we won't have the time to cover all of them.
Oh, wonderful. I'm sure everyone will be thrilled to hear that. So we'll take a look through the chat log and try to get to all your questions. So yes, and thank you, Brianna, just shared the link for you can follow Rebecca on LinkedIn. So yeah, so I would love to keep this conversation rolling, yet we are coming to the close of our time together today. So Rebecca, thank you so much. This has been so illuminating, and I'm seeing so many comments in the chat. Great, so many good points. This was so helpful. So I know this was truly helpful for our audience as well.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for this.
Yes, so we're so glad for everyone who's tuned in. Just to share as we wrap up a little helpful information. I saw some questions on, well, I'm a student or I'm a grad. Where do I get this content? And so some little next steps here. Again, as a reminder, Rebecca does have a new lecture on using AI in your coaching and in your business in our health coach training program. So if you're already a grad, um, I am very excited to share that For our alumni who are tuning in, that graduates who enrolled in cohorts from September 2023 onward will be getting this update for free. That's those of you who have, when you enrolled, you had lifetime access to your curriculum, and this update will be going in there as part of that access. For those of you who graduated before that time from our old version of the curriculum in 2022 and earlier, we also have something special for you. This is our Health Coach Refresh Collection. So we've mentioned this a bit on the other calls, but this is a curated collection of new nutrition, functional medicine, lifestyle, coaching, and business content from the most recent updates to our health coach training in 2022 and 2026 and everywhere in between. And it's available now via the link that will drop in the chat. So if you are a grad looking to get caught up on everything that has happened since you took the program, it's a great way to stay current. And Rebecca's content will be going in there as well when we have that ready for you. So for those of you who are a current student, Rebecca's content will be going into module 2022, module 22. For those of you who are beyond that point in your curriculum, that's going to be added in when it's, we're just putting the finishing touches on the production, and it will be added back in there in just a couple months. So it will be there. We'll let you know when it's there. And for those of you who are just getting started out, if you're from our January or February classes, when you get to module 22, it'll be right in there waiting for you. If you are unsure when you graduated, you're like, am I getting this? Do I get the refresh collection? I'm confused. Lindsay, what are you talking about? Just shoot us an email at support@integrativenutrition.com and we will check in the system. We'll get you all squared away. I see Anne says, I purchased the refresh collection. Awesome. Hope you love it. Maureen asked, do we also get updates for the other topics? Yes. So it'll include, there's something like 200 topics included in the refresh collection, plus 2 coaching circles. So you'll get to reconnect with the community and the coaches there as well. So, okay, and now I want to, for those of you who are new to IIN, for those of you who are thinking about becoming a health coach or taking the path down our health coach training program for your own personal well-being to support your family, your community, if you're wondering what's next and how to learn more, I'll tell you a bit about, for the health coach training program, you can book a call to speak with one of our admissions representatives who can support you, answer all your questions. And we're also going to share a link to the curriculum guide, which contains a ton of information about the health coach training program. So we'll put all that in the chat for you. If you are ready to jump in and you're like, let's go, this is my season, I'm going to become a health coach and I'm ready. Our February class actually just started this Monday, but it's not too late to join. We are still on module 1. We are just getting started, so it's a perfect time. So it's also a great time to enroll because not only will you be getting all of the new curriculum updates that we mentioned, you will also be eligible for a tuition grant of $2,000 off your tuition. You can use the code COACHFEB, which we'll also put in the chat for a limited time. Or if you want to jump right into our premium coaching pathway that includes our coaching intensive practicum, this is the additional 12-week training component for health coach training program grads that you'll need to become board certified with the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching, the NBHWC. This is IIN's approved training. You can get $3,000 off this health coach board certification training that includes both courses by enrolling today with the code CERTIFIED. Our team will share the links to the grant application and the board certification training in the chat. So we got all that for you there. And we're going to also send all of this to you in a follow-up email with today's recording so you can go back and hear all these details. So if you're rushing to scribble everything down, don't worry, we've got you covered there. All right, I think I covered everything. I know we're a couple minutes over, so thank you all for sticking around. And again, this is the 4th and final webinar in our What's New in Health Coaching series. You will be receiving an email with not just this webinar replay and that information, but all of the webinar replays. I saw at the top of the call a few of you were asking for, how do I get the last session? Or I missed the first few. We will send all of those to you. And for those of you who have been with us along the way and attended all 4 webinars, we also have a special surprise gift for you coming via email too. So thank you again, Rebecca, for joining here. Thank you for joining our Health Coach Training Program faculty. It's so wonderful connecting with you.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm very excited. And please shoot me a message if there's any questions that you have.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today and to all of our webinars in this series. It is always a pleasure to connect with this community, and I hope to see some of you in class and wherever you are in your journey. Wishing you the best of luck in your next steps. We are here for you every step of the way and wishing you well. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon. And bye for now.